Good morning. Today we're going to look at the principle of design movement. Movement is the principle of design dealing with the creation of action. It is a way, implied or actual, of causing the eye of the viewer to travel within and across the boundary of a work of art. So, this is actually my second recording. I started out, and at one point everything just went nuts over here. So I already started on this line example, but that's okay because you can see basically how this line example looks like. So I'm going to continue on showing you how it's done. So basically, start out with a very simple, wavy kind of line. It doesn't have to be perfect. The only thing that you need to make sure that you do is that each subsequent line is going to be as close as possible to the previous line, and that you follow the shape of it. I don't know if you guys have noticed that throughout my videos, I tend to speak slower, and I also sometimes stumble in with my words, and that's mainly because sometimes the left side of the brain is becoming a little bit of a nuisance to the right side of the brain that is actually trying to do the drawing. So that's why I like to play music when I'm doing this, because then you would think that the sound is not working anymore. So I'm sure you are seeing that there is movement. There's like an optical illusion happening here where it feels like there's movement happening. And especially when I zoom out, you can actually see it even more. Like it almost feels like you're gonna get dizzy if you look at it too long. So that is basically how line plays a role in creating movement. There are other ways to do that, to create movement with line. You can have only a couple of lines in your artwork that are very expressive and suggest a lot of emotion. So it doesn't have to be a bunch of little lines like this next to each other to create that illusion of movement. However, in this particular case, I wanted to show you how to achieve that optical illusion that sometimes you might find fascinating. How how does that happen? Well, here it is. This is how it happens. I just draw each line one next to each other, and voila, you have yourself a very interesting optical illusion that has movement in it. The next one that we're going to look at is shape. And this is basically where everything got stuck, and that's because my pencils refused to work for some reason. So for this one, I want to use a grid because I want to show you guys how to do this and make sense of it as you're working on it. So we're going to make a checkerboard design. But what I want you to do is first I want you to make just a few lines like this, like 4 lines like that. Then we're going to make 4 lines like this. Or no, let's make 3 lines, because the next few lines we're going to do something different. So the next few lines, I'm going to change my drawing assist to no assist, and the next line I'm going to put it notice that it's not 2 squares, it's only 1 square and a half. The next one is going to be about a square. Next one is going to be about half a square. And even less. Okay. And then we're going to repeat this pretty much the same thing on this other side. It's not going to be exact, but it's going to be close. Okay, so the magic does not yet happen because we have to make this into a checkerboard design. So we'll do that now. And this, you just make each one of these lines equidistant. Okay, so you might say, well, I don't see anything really happening. Okay, let's see what happens now. I know, the anticipation is killing me too. Gonna have to zoom in here. So when you are shading this in, just take your time. Put on some nice music. And, well, I already have some nice music. But if you're gonna do this, or if you're gonna skip ahead and you're gonna do this on your own, just take your time. Don't rush. Relax. Oops. I put it in the wrong spot. I have to zoom in over here, otherwise I will be putting it in the wrong spot all the time. So the app has updated, and I haven't had a chance to figure out how to do that recoloring. So I am just doing this the long way. by dropping the color one by one like this. Okay, so now you can see how when you look at this, it kind of gives you that sense of movement. It feels like all these squares are actually moving inward, as if there's like a almost like a curvature happening. If I would have had this even more, let's say that instead of doing 1.5 squares for over here, make it maybe 1 3/4, and then go 1.5, and then 1 1/4, and so on and so forth. So if that incremental change in size would have been a little bit more slower, then this would be even more evident of the movement. But this is good enough at this point. It just feels like they're kind of like moving in towards each other. So let's move on to value, and we're going to get rid of this drawing assist because we don't need it anymore. So value is very simple. What I want you to do is I want you to take your pencil and fill up this whole entire area over here. Am I on value? Yes. And why is it not shading? Oh, you know why it's not shading? Because I miss I miss. Oh goodness, I gotta laugh at myself sometimes. Okay. So I want what I want you to do is I want you to shade this in. Let me do a better job than I did by actually making this a little bit more like that. So this will resemble more like what your pencil is gonna be doing. So I want you to shade it. Don't shade it too dark. Something like a mid value. Okay. And then I want you to grab your eraser, and in my case what I'm going to do, because I don't want to erase because it doesn't work out in my case, I'm going to grab some white, and I want you very lightly to start erasing in the middle. Okay, and then try to do this sort of like into a circular motion like that. So you're basically drawing with your eraser right now. Okay, and I'm going to erase some more. So now what I'm doing is I'm creating with value, with the change in value, I am creating an illusion of movement. And if you erase too much, you can always go back and add more pencil. But I am creating an illusion of movement because you are sort of like drawn towards the center, and it feels like light is bouncing around this tunnel, if you want to call it a tunnel, or you can call it, I don't know, a star. But if you erase and you use like maybe the edge of your eraser and you erase in such a way that you have this circular kind of motion, and then you have these highlights. What you have just done is you've made something look like it's moving, and you're doing that. Of course, there's movement because you're using the lines, but you're also creating the movement through value because it feels like light is bouncing around this area right here. And you can erase even more right here in the center. I'm gonna add some more light right there, like that. Let me clean this up a little bit. Ooh, I didn't want that much. There. So it doesn't look too messy. Okay. So that's basically how you create the illusion of movement through value. So moving on to texture, the mistitled of slide over here. So moving on to texture, you're going to use your pencil, and I want you to hold your pencil in a rather unusual kind of position. I want you to hold your pencil a little bit farther away from the tip, and when you are drawing with it, I want you to just let the pencil kind of make the movements for you. Like, I don't know, sometimes use the edge of the pencil where you are making a broader, thicker kind of line like this, the tip. But what we're going to create over here is texture. Okay, and this is going to be very fast drawing. Like I said, you want your textures to be, or your marks, your pencil marks, to create these textures. See, I cannot talk and draw at the same time. I just cannot do that. So you're going to have an area that will have a rather more textural portion, and then another one that is going to be a little bit softer, and maybe more softness over here. So this, I'm using the side, because and this is what I love about the iPad and the Apple Pencil, is that I can actually use the pencil the same way that I would be using an actual pencil. So I'm holding the pencil as horizontal as possible to the paper, and I am to my screen. In your case, it will be the paper. And whenever I want to make thinner lines, I am raising my pencil to be more vertical and more perpendicular to the surface. So that's how you create these very interesting textures. and you go in different directions. And I know yours is not going to be exactly like mine, but as long as you are, creating some kind of texture, you should be doing okay. And what I'm focusing on making is these interesting forms that kind of resemble some rocks. Maybe this is sort of like the side of a mountain. And if you feel like you have added too much, you can always take the edge of your eraser and maybe bring some more highlights in there. And then if you think like you've erased too much, go back and add some more. But notice the texture and notice how your eye is sort of like bouncing around this square, and you are noticing that there is movement. You feel that sensation of movement. And of course, as always, adding a little bit more of this dark value, and maybe emphasizing some areas in here can really draw your eye and let it move even more across the whole entire surface. So that's basically what movement is all about. Make sure that you finish line. And make sure this whole entire section over here is filled up with lines, so it should be from edge to edge. Don't leave it white. You can always add more, but I will leave it right here for you, and enjoy, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.